I remember telling him that it's really important for me to be educated about your skills, your tactics. What did you do behind my back? And although I probably wasn't mentally stable enough to really take in the information, I still asked for it because I wanted to use that as fuel to educate myself about sex addiction. And I learned so much. And he really looked at me and said, Steph, regular pornography was never enough. It escalated for me into other things. And I actually saw that unraveled in my marriage. And one huge takeaway is that every addict, every betrayed partner has their own journey. Every story is different. But I noticed that I define betrayal as whatever I define it as. You have women who say, well, it's just porn or it's just this. If it hurts you, that matters.
Welcome to Radiant Mom Rising. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and uplifted. I'm your host, Mary Dibble, and in each episode, we dive into amazing stories, insights, and conversations that help moms like you chase your dreams and embrace your worth. Let's rise and shine together. Welcome to today's episode of Radiant Mom Rising, where we bring you stories of strength, perseverance, and transformation. I'm your host, Mary Dibble, and today we have an extraordinary guest who has faced one of life's toughest challenges and emerged stronger than ever. When her marriage was rocked by betrayal, she was left to pick up the pieces and rebuild her life from the ground up. In this episode, she shares her deeply personal journey of healing, how she found resilience in the face of heartbreak, and the steps she took to reclaim her power. Our guest, Stephanie Lynn, is a certified professional grief deconstructing gaslighting specialist and certified inner child recovery specialist with a unique expertise in partner betrayal trauma, post-betrayal dating, and relational recovery. She's passionate about empowering partners who've experienced or are experiencing betrayal, dealing with fetishes, post-betrayal dating, loss of emotional support animals, and couples looking to recover. Drawing on her own experience as a betrayed partner, she strongly believes in community and healing. She is well-versed in supporting all clients and ready to provide validation as her clients reclaim what was lost. Whether you're grappling with your own struggles or simply looking for a dose of inspiration, this episode is for you. Stay tuned as we dive into a story of courage, growth, and the incredible capacity of the human spirit to overcome adversity. Without any further ado, Miss Stephanie Lynn. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me on the Radiant Mom Rising podcast. I hope you are doing well today.
I am. I'm honored to be here. I'm excited. I'm loving the work you're doing. So thanks. I'm honored to be here.
Oh, well, it's wonderful having you. I'm so excited for the audience to get to know you. So tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So I'm Stephanie Lynn. I am a certified professional coach, certified with grief and, relational repair, betrayal, trauma recovery coach. So the work that I do, I help couples kind of repair after they've had a rupture of betrayal, enter their relationship. I also support women or mothers, looking to kind of get that healing, get a community space. So I do work with mothers. I work with couples as well.
Awesome. And tell us your story, what you've gone through in your life that led you to want to work in this field.
Absolutely. So I am a betrayal trauma relational coach. And what that means, so I like to kind of describe the differences because my work is mainly with partner betrayal. Although we can be betrayed by family members, best friends, work, even bosses, we have a lot of experience as humans being betrayed. This is more focused on intimate betrayal. So partnerships, relationships, spouses. Either the women I work with have their partners of sex or porn addicts, or they've experienced infidelity in their relationship. And I also have, the person who acted out, which is usually the male, kind of approach me and say, hey, I really want to get some healing. I want to learn some exercises, some empathy skills to kind of help my wife or my partner feel better from my actions that I've caused. And I really love that vulnerability from the men that reach out. But there are women who reach out usually just for their own healing and coaching. So that's a lot of what I do too. And it all started actually because of my own journey through partner betrayal trauma. And, my story starts back in about 2012 when I first met my first husband. And, I believed it. It was love at first sight. I saw him, I just fell in love. I had no idea about the depth of, addiction that he had, his skeletons in the closet. I didn't know anything, but our relationship continued. And, we were intimate. We were in love. It was all the fun feelings and just, I was always myself. I told him a lot about me and I felt like I received that back, and I believed who he was. And, you'll hear that a lot when we, survivors of betrayal, we believe what's told to us, And the beautiful thing about it too, after betrayal is I love that it hasn't changed who I am. So that's like something big that I love to like use and encourage other women and partners. I'm surviving this, but in the beginning of our relationship, there were no signs. I mean, we were just so in love. And, a little bit into the relationship, I had what we call a discovery date or a D day. And that was by finding a picture on his phone. Now, this picture was of a woman's top part. And I was really confused because it looked like a photo. It was like on a public website. So I was kind of really confused on what I was looking at. So I approached him and it was instant shame, instant guilt. I mean, breakdown in tears. And, I asked him, what's up with like the way this picture looks? And he admitted that he was tired of regular pornography. And at the time, I didn't really know what that meant. But my brain was kind of trying to take in what I was looking at. And I felt like I was all, cheated on because it was a picture of someone else. And he said he would never do it again. He felt really ashamed. And, again, I believed him. And I kept the relationship going. I was in it. I was happy. There were some little signs, like some acting out behaviors by himself. He would self-gratify a lot. He would watch pornography. And during that time, I didn't know the damaging effects of pornography. And personally, I don't believe in that, but I work with couples who do, and I work with couples who have their own kind of allowance of that. But during that time, I didn't really, I was not strict about it. I didn't, care about it. I would say, let's see. So we got engaged. We got married in 2016. And about, I'd say like a year or so after that, I came home and it was kind of a really ominous setting. Like he's never home before me. The lights were dark. My cats were kind of confused because it's like nighttime and my husband's sitting on the couch waiting to tell me something. Like it was just a really, like I could picture that day in my head. And it was really traumatizing. I walk inside and he goes, "Hey, we need to talk." And I go, "Okay." My brain immediately went to he lost a job, someone died, or he cheated, just automatically. And I didn't even know it at the time, but like my adrenaline was already kind of starting up. Like I was already kind of getting into that flight or fight. And he told me that he was diagnosed with STDs. Confusion kind of just took over. And I was like, what are you talking about? Right? Because you're sitting there like, what? So unfortunately, I had to dig deeper. And when I did, I found out that, well, his story was that he was not sexually intimate with someone else, but he used women garments on himself to self-gratify, which was very confusing at the time. And I try not to get into detail on that part, but that was very hard, you know? I then got sick physically for about 30 minutes and then returned to finish a conversation. And this is something that I like to really pinpoint on. When we are being betrayed in this kind of sexual abuse, because STDs are not consented, so it is part of sexual abuse now. I went to the doctor the next day and I couldn't even tell them why I was there. And they gave me a piece of paper and pencil, had to write it down. It took me like 30 minutes to check in. And a lot of them kind of are trained and they kind of knew a little bit of the situation. I was just like, husband, STDs, like, and I was distraught. So it was kind of evident what was going on. Great supporters there, but I don't recommend doing that alone. So just wanted to like stop and just say, if you're in that situation, please try to find support community, someone you trust to go with you. If you can have him go in and tell them why you're there, that would be ideal. But We don't all have that opportunity when we are in the kind of PTSD state and we might be comfortable with someone else. Um, but I did it alone. It took me about 3 hours because after I got the result, they said I was in a state of shock. So I had to stay there to kind of digest that I was diagnosed with STDs. And that was very painful because I felt like something had taken over my body and I didn't say yes to that. Um, and it really hurt. So I go home and told him that, yeah, it was true. I got some help for it, and our relationship and marriage continued. I decided to stay. I decided to trust my husband. I don't really look at this as any kind of fault on my end because he was my husband and I was married and we made vows and I trusted him. I don't feel any guilt towards that now, but during the time I did. And if you're there, that's normal and that's okay. So I just, take a minute to kind of digest that too. So unfortunately, our marriage got a little rocky after this, obviously. And about a year later, he came home from a business trip and it was like deja vu. He came home and he just said, "Hey, we need to get tested again. I did something horrible at this hotel." And I said, "Say no more. I think that you've cheated on me this whole time. Am I right?" And he went ahead and disclosed that I was right. And unfortunately, we kind of were up and down on this marriage, tried a lot of resources, went to church, got closer together, or at least I thought. And after multiple D days, right, I keep discovering things. And throughout my marriage, I'm kind of questioning who is laying in my bed? Who is this shark? Who is this person that I married? Why is he wearing a mask? And, all of these symptoms really can disrupt your everyday life. Your work has become different now. You can't go food shopping because you're worried about who would be there. You're worried about leaving your husband at home. You're worried at going to the lake, to the park, to the pool. Do you tell anybody? So a lot of these almost now considered PTSD symptoms or CPTSD symptoms occurred. So our marriage, continued, but I always felt like there was more. And my gut and my intuition was kind of always on alert. And, I'm proud of myself to say that, hey, my gut has been working throughout that whole abusive period. Way to go, Steph. Like, I try to find something that I could just, get some hope on. And although I didn't confront where that was coming from, it was there. And that's something to be proud of today. So our marriage, unfortunately, got worse. And it's near the end, around 2019, 2020, I decided that I have reached my breaking point. After multiple discoveries on laptop, email, proof of infidelity, proof of extent pornography use and masturbation, I just was not comfortable anymore. And my breaking point came when I found out he was having an emotional affair. One of his fetishes included, like I mentioned, some used items from other people. And at that time, he was connected with someone across the country. And that emotional connection they had that they developed within 2 weeks really made me question his mental state of health, right? Because the things he was sharing with her, the intimacy they gained in 2 weeks. Also, he was able to supply her for rent money and other gift cards and things like that, and using her money behind my back. And all these just kept building up. So I reach my breaking point and I say, I just can't do this. And one of the biggest things is the stress in my body. It created a lot of turbulence. Like, I was not stable. I didn't really trust almost anybody around me. So all that to say that we eventually got separated and divorced. And right when we were separated, he ended up moving to this person's house actually within 3 weeks. So that was another sign that he is just really full blown in his addiction. He's trying to cover things up, find a new person, find a new supply. And that was really painful for me, but it also created some clarity that it wasn't me. There was nothing I could have done. There was no, image that I could have looked better. There was no weight loss. There was nothing about me. That's something that he had a problem with, something that he had struggled with. And I don't know where he's at in life now. But to be honest, the hurtful thing about it was we had a 16-hour conversation, and it was our last conversation. And one of the things I asked was, one day I'm going to be a coach and I'm going to help support women and I'm going to help support moms and couples who want to get better, who want, because no one's perfect. There's problems, but let's work through it or let's try, and sometimes women might not feel that and that's okay too. But, we can work on healing together or we can work on relational recovery. And I remember telling him that it's really important for me to be educated about your skills, your tactics. What did you do behind my back? And although I probably wasn't mentally stable enough to really take in the information, I still asked for it because I wanted to use that as fuel to educate myself about sex addiction. And I learned so much. And he really looked at me and said, Steph, regular pornography was never enough. It escalated for me into other things. And I actually saw that unraveled in my marriage. And one huge takeaway is that every addict, every betrayed partner has their own journey. Every story is different. But I noticed that I define betrayal as whatever I define it as. You have women who say, well, it's just porn or it's just this. If it hurts you, that matters. If you don't feel safe, if it's just porn and you don't feel good, it is a form of betrayal because you're not feeling safe. So, I just want to say that because there's just different journeys for everybody. But at the end of our relationship, he was physical with up to 80 people, men, women, and others. I survived about 3 STDs. I was not stable the whole time. I'd gone through PTSD, CPTSD, multiple doctor visits, therapy appointments, court groups. I mean, there were so many things that I had to do to kind of take in and invite this healing. And I spent 7 years not doing that with the relationship with him. So when I got out of that, I went full throttle. And I am so glad I did. And that's why I'm here today.
Oh, God, Steph, your story is so heart-wrenching. I love it. Like, thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable with this because there are so many women, so many people out there who literally have gone through similar situations, and it's a real struggle in this. And right now with the internet and everything that's so easily accessible, it's even easier. And it's what with porn and things like that, I've always been so against it because it does desensitize. Even, my husband's always say, like, that's why you don't even touch it or mess with it because it will desensitize you to where you do need more. You always will need more. And it's getting crazier and crazier, the things that are out there because of that. And I mean, marriage is supposed to be sacred. It's supposed to make you feel like, that's why you married this person. They are your one and only. You are supposed to be, committed to them. And I personally couldn't imagine being okay with that stuff. That's just me. I know that there's some people out there that's like, oh, it's not a big deal. But for me, it's a hurt on my self-esteem. It's a hurt on me. Like, oh, I'm not good enough to be just enough for you. I mean, that's how I took it. That's one thing I got true to myself about, of realizing what I did and didn't want in a relationship. So, because I've been betrayed before, and it truly does. It's very damaging to so much of you, especially if you're someone who already struggles with insecurities and things like that growing up. Oh my gosh, it's hard. So,
And I didn't know that about you. And thank you for sharing a little bit about your betrayal too.
thanks. Yeah, I've actually walked in on guys before doing stuff. I've had, seen it. So I know it's hard, and it's just, God, it's a hard, it's really hard. But what I love at the same time is how strong and resilient we women are, and how we can come through it if we make the right choices, if we decide that we're not going to become a victim of this. Instead, I'm going to, like you, I love that you allowed him to educate you on this. And so many of us would probably just want to, like, beat him up, run or something. It's like, that's so.
Well, I beat up all the pictures in the home.
Oh, I bet you did. You had
Yeah.
to do something, right? Because my goodness, I couldn't imagine like that. But that's truly just speaks volumes of the kind of woman you are, and which is what led you to be where you are. So anyone truly would be lucky to learn from you, to have you on their side. Like, seriously, it just, I'm really touched by your story and your bravery of, like, sharing this. So if there is somebody out there right now who is in a place of maybe knowing that their husband could be having this situation, what are some of the pieces that you could probably share as signs for it
Mm.
and even advice too of like
Yeah.
how you would go about handling if somebody has a suspicion about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, there's some clear things that we all kind of get that gut, of what's going on feeling. Things like having the phone face down a lot, even like if it's just you two, like the freeness of the phone should come about, like the phone should be face up a lot, or it shouldn't be in the bathroom. It shouldn't be in a closed space alone with the possible person who might be acting out. And that's like a really big sign there. Another thing would also be lack of communication, is what I hear a lot. For example, making plans without consulting your wife or partner first. Kind of like I see a lot in the couples I work with, and entitlement issues. Like, even though maybe any kind of betrayal was found out, and that includes, by the way, social media, liking other people's photos, to having followers or following other women who make you uncomfortable, being friends with people in the past maybe that you're not comfortable with. Also, I would say, yeah, mainly communication and entitlement. Just that is huge, especially after D-Day. If there's a lot of entitlement there, like minimizing, oh, you're crazy, a lot of gaslighting, you're crazy. You didn't really see that. See, that's my friend's information. Any kind of like vague communication or no communication is also a big sign that there's some deception going on in the relationship. And if you try to kind of like dig deeper and you feel like that feeling where, oh my gosh, I can't even get my feelings or my like scare, what I'm scared of, I can't communicate it to him because he'll get mad. He'll call me crazy. He'll gaslight. He'll say I'm insane. Every guy does it. Like, all of these defensive behaviors are really big indicators that there could be something more going on. Not that it's like a guarantee, but in a lot of the situations, I've been in this field for about 3.5 years now. So that's a lot of what I've been hearing. Yeah. And, you brought up a good point earlier, technology and social media. I mean, unfortunately, there's AI now.
Oh, gosh, I know.
Yeah, which what I learned can be used as a form of acting out now. And that's because a lot of sex addicts have some fantasy issues.
Hey there, aspiring entrepreneurs. Ready to turn your free time into a flourishing digital marketing business? Introducing Lipo Max, your comprehensive all-in-one package for launching a successful venture. With Lipo Max, you'll get access to over 200 in-depth, beginner-friendly training videos tailored to your needs. Plus, enjoy lifetime access with continuous course updates, weekly training calls, and ongoing community support. All without any monthly fees or extra charges. And the best part? You'll benefit from a high-demand digital product, the course, expertly crafted and ready for immediate sale. Yes, that means you earn 100% profit on every sale. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to transform your free time into a profitable business. Join LipoMax today and watch your dreams take flight. Click on the link in the show note today to learn more.
And they can use this kind of material to kind of go their way with that. And I wanted to bring that up because you brought that up, and that's true. And that can create a lot of fear in us. But I want to say that, as a professional in the field, and we have other professionals in the field, we are aware of this. Okay. So there's no, if once you get out there, find professional support and things like that, we are on top of it. Social media and technology advances, but so do recovery resources, and so do we professionals. So we are able to combat that. And I just wanted to provide a little bit of hope. And I think I answered your question. I kind of go on, like when I speak, I get.
Oh, I love it. No.
You.
You're absolutely, I love it. So that's the very good point right there. And true, it's amazing is the personal experiences that we all go through. Like, as horrible as they are in the moment, it's cool to see how in the future we can turn it around and truly help others. in similar situations, how empowering, to be
Yeah.
able to do that, to be able to finally get to a point in your life where you're like, I no longer allow that to
Yeah.
be part of my identity, to dictate my actions. And I am instead going to find a way to help others to be better in myself, feel better,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
it's so important to just don't be afraid to ask for help, to go
Yeah.
out there and seek the help that you need because we can't do this on our own. We shouldn't have to. And
Right.
it is
Yeah.
hard. It's a very challenging thing. And the shame. That's something
Yeah.
I feel like I would like to speak more about as well.
Yeah.
To those of them, so many people, that's what holds them back is that
Yeah.
shame. So what would you say to those people out there who are just feeling that shame and scared to even admit any of this?
Oh, wow. What a great point. Absolutely. And something specific to all the radiant moms out there. A lot of my clients that I work with are mothers or newborn, new moms that just had babies. And they approach me and they have actually a unique kind of guilt and shame of, hey, I found out during my whole pregnancy that my husband was a porn addict or done these acting out behaviors. But my main concern this whole time was the well-being of my child. And, that really I got my first client who brought that up. It kinda like it shocked me because I was like, "Wow, like, how strong are you?" And I found out during this client's story that she had come to full term, and how she did that was fully focusing on her child. And that is just what mattered to her. That was, like, her whole life, her whole dream was to be a mom. And I just was, like, so inspired to hear that. And her shame was really unique. She goes, I knew the whole time. I knew the whole like, for 10 months, and I couldn't I just didn't wanna put myself first fully, but I was able to kind of, like, still do the prenatal care. She was on top of things. I mean, she had a regimen of, like, things to do, and she was just like, "I just feel like, should I just let it go? Because it's time has passed, and I'm kinda like, it's kinda on me now, right?" And go, "Oh my gosh, like, what a heavy burden to kinda come in and say that, what a big shame." And I felt shame and guilt, and I asked her, and she confirmed that that's kinda what she was feeling. And I just wanna encourage that there's no timeline, there's no expiration date to your healing. I call all my clients phoenixes and rising. So kinda like I have support groups and things like that, and a lot of the shame is not even ours to carry, you know? This mess was created because of somebody else's action who vowed to protect our heart. This is not our shame. This is not our shame to carry, but because of the way we are, a lot of women, we love and care, and we shouldn't be ashamed of that. One thing that I get asked about a lot that kind of relates to shame and guilt too, do you feel bad? Like, are you just so mad? Do you hate him? Are you just livid that he took 7 years, prime years and things like that. And there's a lot more to my story that I don't share for certain reasons, but there was a lot that I gone through. But I'm not happy it happened. I am thankful for the awareness. Like I am a 0% pornography today because of not only what it does to partners, but also the human trafficking industry. And every click, it just fuels that. And that needs to be known. A lot of movies have come out and I feel like missed the mark to kind of create that awareness. That is essentially a way to fuel pornography. It's a demand, a supply and demand, just like any other business. So I wanted to bring that out. But back to the shame, one thing that I'm proud of myself for is the way that I loved him. I'm proud of how I loved him. I've never changed who I was. I never stopped loving him. I was always me. All the pain I went through didn't change me. And I have a lot of clients, a lot of survivors who say the same thing, and they feel guilt and shame about that. I think it's something to embrace. Let's work on tools together to bring that and, embrace that, right? Find a community. I love your Radiant Mom community because you have other moms who don't feel alone. And it's a great niche and other women could come together in that. There's support groups for betrayed women. And I have support groups for that. And they have, workshops that I'm hoping to come up with. And I have workshops for men that I do because I like working also with the sex addict because I do bring in a perspective of the betrayed women side that isn't from, the
Then
partner all the time, which could create some more validation. I call them validation sessions for that reason, to educate about what sex addiction and betrayal trauma really does to the partner.
no, I love that.
It just,
So
yeah.
important. So important. And that's awesome that you do that because that takes bravery. Like I said, it takes resilience for you have going through what you've been through and then to be able to see like help both ends because it is like for anyone who suffered with addiction is addiction. It's a disease. It's very powerful. It's very difficult to overcome, to even stand up to. As somebody who's been there with drugs, like I know how challenging it is to truly step away and walk away from that. But it also is the most amazing decision I ever made. And it is possible. And that's what I love because that's thing. Sometimes we feel like, oh, once an addict, always an addict. No, no. I do not identify as an addict. I do not like I don't like the idea of thinking that just because I had a phase in my life where I was, in on a certain path, that means that that's who I am. No, I am who I am, and I've always been who I am. Like, I love that about your story is like recognizing that there's a lot of us that doesn't change, and we should be proud of that. That through it all, we don't lose that part of us. And I think, well, some people do. They lose their identity. They lose themselves. They identify with their behaviors or with other people's behaviors. They allow that to identify who they are. When it's like, no, that's not always the case. So it's important to really break it down. Who do you want to be?
Yeah.
You got
Yes.
that. You actually have the choice and the decision to say, who do I want to be?
Hmm.
And I think that's something I hope to bring more and more awareness to. It doesn't matter what you've been through. Who do you want to be today? Because who you
Exactly.
are today is going to carry on to tomorrow and the next day. And it's just going to help you grow further and further into who you want to be and the kind of life you want. And it is possible. It's out there. It's already yours. You just have to be willing to walk the path.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely. Recovery is out there. You have to reach out, choose it, and want it. If you have somebody that you're hurting, and intimate deception is a direct threat to your partner,
Yeah.
because it can escalate, unfortunately, to the point of being with other people physically.
Yeah.
We shouldn't really have to risk or feel unsafe that we're going to be sick or something. That's just not safety. And a relationship, like you said, is sacred. It's a space to feel that comfort. And when you don't, it is such a lack of, disrespect to you. But you're right. It doesn't define you though. You're able to get that healing. You're able to rise up and be that phoenix. I believe we all are.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that up. And another thing too, I work in post-betrayal dating. It's kind of my betrayal trauma niche where I support many partners who have gotten out of a tough relationship like that and one day looking to date again.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
So
was actually my next place that I was going with. And I love that you just went ahead. I love it. No, please, because
yeah,
that is something I'm interested in hearing, like of the experiences of people who have left that toxic relationship, who realize it's just not good. And how do they get on to move to the next one without carrying that into the next relationship, right?
oh my gosh, yes, so big there. And thank you for thinking of that because that's really important, I think, in my opinion, these days, because some of us can jump into an identical toxic relationship almost right immediately. And, I've learned that I know that I automatically go into relationships trusting other people. It's just what I do. I just trust people until they give me a reason not to. And I learned that it's okay to change that narrative. It's okay to kind of believe behavior first, believe actions, believe the kind of person, if you're dating, I call them potential partners. If you're dating a potential partner, pay attention to these signs. What are they doing with their phone on their date? What are they, things like that to look out for. And I say all this because I draw from my own experience. So after I was divorced, I am remarried now, my second marriage to another person. But before that, I was post betrayal dating. And I will say that I had about 7 first dates. And during this time, I was very open. I said, hey, on your date, be ready to be interviewed. And that really wasn't received the best. A lot of guys actually didn't show up, and a lot of guys, I was actually left 5 times, 5 out of the 7, because I showed up with a clipboard. Sorry. I love it. And I was honest. I was vulnerable. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get in this again. I can't do it again. So what can I do to prepare myself? So, I really came up with the checklist, and now I really use a lot of my experience. And my husband now, he was able to do a full therapeutic disclosure and polygraph. And that's something else in our world that we use. It's a tool to get a full sexual history, and then a polygraph verifies the validity of what was told during that. So this is a recovery tool. I used it as a pre-dating, pre-marriage tool. It really depends on what the partner feels is best, or if they're getting therapeutic help from a clinician, they can work together to decide like the best steps for them too. But yeah, I have come up with a system, I believe, of worksheets and just coaching through that, and really kind of digesting and going into what works best for my client. What works best in creating safety. Let's talk about boundaries. Let's boundary up. Let's talk about self-care while you're dating. Let's talk about previous triggers. And I had come up with, it's my own, I call it from ashes to safety. And it's a post-betrayal workbook where we work together. And that's literally what we focus on, is kind of like what happened before, but we didn't dive deep, just what happened before. And obviously, if it does bring up a lot of things, I would do outside referrals to, therapeutic help for someone who's in this field. But I focus more on moving forward, more on plan, and it's because it's betrayal what happened to us. It's not really like who we are as a whole, right? It's just a little part, a season. And we are able to move forward. And that's kind of what I use my betrayal dating for. And I really do draw from my experiences and help validate other women who are, and I have people who come to me who've been divorced for 5 years, 10 years, who are 50 years older. I mean, there's no expiration, no cutoff. We are never at a certain age where we don't deserve to be loved if that's what we choose. But if you choose to be single too, awesome.
Kudos.
Amazing. It's amazing. Like, yeah. So, every individual is different, and I just support everyone in whatever part of journey you're healing that they want. I have partners who come to me who literally just say, hey, I just want to heal from my past. I'm not necessarily ready for dating. And we work together on that too. So I'm able to meet a lot of clients right where they are.
And that's what it's about, isn't it? It's truly meeting you where you are. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is no shame in that. We all have our, experiences, the things that we've been through, good and bad. And it's okay. It's all about, and that's why I like coaching, because it is about the now and the future.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the past is a reflection of some things. It can teach you about yourself, certain patterns, certain limiting beliefs. So it's important to reflect on. But so many people I see like stay there. And I just feel like that's because they stay there, they never move forward. Or even if they do move forward, as they move forward, they continue to still attract that same result, that same outcome. And I don't know about you, for someone who's been through where I've been through, I want a different outcome. I don't want to keep doing the same thing and having the same outcome and then, being like, whoa, what's going on?
Yep.
It takes that accountability, that responsibility of just really looking at yourself and stop hiding, really seeing yourself and letting whatever needs to be brought to the surface come, and then being like, okay, I hear you. I see you. Now I'm going to choose this way. And that's what we're here to help guide and help you through, because it's possible.
That's right. Yeah. You don't have to do this alone, There's resources, there's community, and that's so important. I will say that one of the biggest takeaways for me is just like the healing community, like my healing community, my safety people. So
that's awesome. And if you don't mind to share a little bit about that,
yeah,
like if somebody
sure.
who's wanting to learn more about you and find you, where can they go?
Yeah. So my website is coachstephanielynn.com. Just kind of like my username. I don't know if they see that, but yeah, coachstephanielynn.com. And I spell it STEPHANIE. And a lot of my information's there. I do have a free text support group where all of my clients and other women who've been betrayed are in, and they kind of just use that sparingly, or if they want to just have like good days that they share, recent growths and things like that. And even if they're having discovery days, because a lot of us maybe are in that space where we know, but we're being so abused that we don't even know the next step. And what helps is finding community. And I never believe in stay shaming. I was in 7 years of knowing, and I didn't have the tools to move forward. So whenever that time frame comes to you, that is the right time for you. And that matters. You decide that. And yeah, so I have the tech group. I have a Facebook group too, where I like to just post inspirational posts and things like that. I offer a free coaching session just to kind of hear more about what's going on, making sure I'm a good fit. Also, definitely dive into podcasts like this one here. And then there's, Daring Ventures and AppSats Radio, which is APSATS, AppSats. And then there's the Naked Truth Project, which is really great too. There's a bunch of other, there's so many resources now, like I was mentioning, because as the need becomes higher in, unfortunately, the sex addiction, but so do resources. So there are things out there, and I am open to getting, text messages too, or call. You can call me 704-856-9046, and I can provide resources for people too. So, I'm open to getting any kind of, I want to support people. That is my goal, and that's what I was set out to do. So yeah, just making sure safety people is so important. Finding out who you could tell. A lot of who I talk to, women go out, talk to a girlfriend or their family, and they hear a lot of, what are you doing? Get out of that, and a lot of things that is hard to hear because, if you're not in that situation, it's really hard to give advice on because you're not in that person's shoes. And I still believe that today, even as a coach, I don't believe in giving advice because I'm not walking in their path. I just kind of believe in guiding people where they're at and seeing kind of different options, questioning what would work better. So yeah, those, having a safety list, knowing who to talk to, a trigger kit when you're feeling anxious, what can you do? So yeah, I believe in all of that, especially early discovery date.
Oh
I
my
hope
gosh.
that's kind
Yes,
of
yes.
the answer.
Oh yes, no, and also please, I mean, of course, share that with me, and I'll put as much as I can in the show notes for people to just have an easy click to go and find you as well. Because I mean, this is so important. It's truly important. It's such a reality of what so many moms are going through, and I see when you brought up the pregnancy earlier too. When a mom first has a baby, think about like sometimes a lot of times her body changes,
Mm,
that there's always that, that shame there that they go through and feeling like, oh, my body looks different now. My husband's not gonna, I mean, first of all, I'm telling you, women, your husband loves you. If he really genuinely loves you and is there with you, it doesn't matter about the physicality. One thing my husband always told me that just really resonates with his perspective from a man's point of view, that I don't know if he speaks for all men, of course, but
mm,
what I love about his perspective of it is he's like, reality is that one day our looks will fade. And his idea of finding the right person was, who will I be able to sit with when the looks have fade and things have gone, that I can just have the most amazing conversations with, that I can just enjoy my time with? Because at the end of the day, that emotional connection, that stuff that we feel about another person outweighs the looks. It
mhm.
really does. I mean, don't get me wrong, looks are great. I get it. But at the same time, you know, men just want to be able to feel good just as much as we do. They want to feel loved just as much as we do, even though sometimes they don't always know how to show it. But some guys are great and they do. I'm very grateful I have a husband who does. But I just like that perspective of just knowing that, we're just so hard on ourselves as women. And that's what society has done to us with all these perfect, actresses and celebrities. And
Yeah.
this is the way, and the temptations of porn and this and that. And it's like a battle that we're
Mm,
facing as women. And I'm just done with it. I'm so ready for us to be like, you know what? We are who we are, and we're beautiful just the way we are. And if somebody's meant to be in our lives and be a part of that, then let's attract that. Let's
yeah.
just tap into who we're meant to be and trust that the man that God brings to us, or the universe brings to us, is who we're meant to be. But we have to be her first. We can't
Yeah.
just keep going in these same patterns of
Mhm.
toxic things and expecting a guy to just be different. So I can't thank you enough for everything you have shared with us. Before we close up here, is there any other final piece of advice that you would like to give out there to
Yeah,
listeners?
something really big I love to make sure that everyone hears is that remember that his behaviors and his actions had nothing to do with you. It's kind of what you said. It is their choice, their problem. Of course, it affects your life, but it has nothing to do with you. A lot of these men have had these issues before you and before this relationship. So, like you said, a lot of like for me, I immediately was like, what did I do? What is wrong with me? I don't I just want a takeaway, if anything, just remember it has nothing to do with you. It's not your fault. There was nothing you could have changed. There's nothing you could have done. All of this is before you. And I just hope to bring a little bit of comfort if you are struggling with that, negative destiny, but like what, oh my gosh, it's my fault, or what am I doing wrong? Or, all these things. And it is truly their problem. But there is recovery available. There's healing. There's a choice there. So, yeah, just wanted to kinda leave on that just because I struggled with that a lot in the beginning, thinking it was something I did, and now I know it's nothing I do or I have ever done.
That's powerful and so true. Something a lot of us struggle with for
Mhm.
sure. And like I said, take that, people, because that's so true. Like it's not even beyond that, when people treat you a certain way, always know that it's just a projection of who they are and where they are. It's not you. There's nothing you did wrong. So we got to stop putting that on ourselves and carrying
Mhm.
that. It's too much weight.
Heavy.
It's too heavy. Come on. So again, Stephanie, thank you so much for your time and for being with us today. It's been a real honor having you here on the show.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me.
I just love Stephanie and am so grateful to have met her and hold space for her to share her powerful story. Here are the key takeaways from today's episode. Your intuition is powerful. If something feels off, it's crucial to acknowledge it and not dismiss your feelings. They are valid and deserve attention. You don't have to go through tough times alone. Finding a supportive community or professional help can make a huge difference in your healing process. It's okay to lean on others. Betrayal and trauma inflicted by others are not reflections of your worth. You are not responsible for someone else's actions. Your value remains intact, no matter what someone else does. Everyone's journey is unique. What works for one person might not work for another. It's important to find what helps you heal and to move at your own pace. There's no rush. The shame associated with betrayal often belongs to the betrayer, not you. Don't let someone else's action define your self-worth. You have the right to feel safe and respected in your relationships. Despite the pain and betrayal, hold on to who you are. Your core values and beliefs are your strength. Stephanie's story shows that remaining true to yourself is possible even through the hardest times. Use your experiences as fuel to grow and help others. Sharing your story and supporting others can be incredibly empowering. Your pain can become your power. Embrace your journey no matter how challenging. Each step forward is a testament to your strength and resilience. You have the power to heal, grow, and help others do the same. If you want to follow Stephanie's journey or are someone who is in need of her services, I have included her links in the show notes for you to connect and get the support you need. If you know anyone who would benefit from hearing this conversation, please be sure to share it with them. I hope this has inspired anyone listening. I truly appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you can stay updated on any upcoming episodes. Also, please leave us a review or a 5-star rating so we can continue to grow and reach as many amazing moms out there. Your support is much appreciated. I am also excited to share that my course, Mom Biz Mastery, is now available for any moms looking to build and grow their own business and is looking to not only learn what it takes, but to get the true support and guidance needed to keep going as you do the work and build your confidence towards the successful life you deserve. For a limited time, you can get it at the lowest price available for such incredible value and unwavering support. Click on the link in the show notes or visit me at marydibblecoaching.com to learn more about this amazing opportunity. Thank you all again for listening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Until next time, much love.